Greetings.
So we can just start by, getting fully present and forgetting about everything, forgetting about the day and forgetting about stories.
That's good.
I know it's not always as easy as that, but maybe it is as well. To just invite ourselves to drop everything for a little while. And we can just bring our attention to our bodies. And whatever we feel there is totally okay. It's perfectly the way it's meant to be right now. We don't need to add any labels to whatever sensations we're feeling or whatever sensations are present, should say. And if you notice your mind continuing to make noise, that's also okay. You don't need to try to control it. Just like you can consider this a place of rest. And this means just your own heart. Coming into your own heart is a place of rest. So if you feel like you'd like to be more relaxed in your body or something, you can just invite your body to relax. And just take a deep breath. And on the out breath, you just have the intention to release tension. And then whatever you want to talk about from here, like whatever comes, is invited and allowed and accepted, encouraged. And this is not really like a show or something. It's not like like sometimes people do podcasts and it's kind of like a radio show or something. Or some kind of a show. I don't feel like it's a show. And I'm not trying to put on any kind of performance. So I would also encourage anybody who's in conversation to just be completely natural. So is there anything that you would like to talk about? Like, it's totally fine if you want to talk about what's going on in your life at the moment and bring it back to the heart. Like, that's kind of the ideal thing, I think, because it's usually very alive in the moment. But we also don't have to do that, whatever.
We can start where I'm at.
Mm-hmm.
Very lucky. I have a relationship with my wife, and we bring prayer into it. So we were together over the last few days, and I had an incident with a friend of mine. He got really upset. This was a story going on. He got really upset about this thing that seemed so slight. And then I reacted to him being upset. And at one stage we were like raising our voice. And it seemed like pure insanity. And I try to understand, because I care about him. I try to understand how it got to that point.
Mm-hmm.
Like I wasn't really shouting or anything. I was just like, hey, stop interrupting me. Just What is it? What is it? How have I upset you? And I mean, the incident was so small. It was like, I said, there's the hotel. I went to pull in, but then I wasn't sure it was the hotel. And then he got annoyed because I'd said it was a hotel, but I was unsure. How can you say it is the hotel and then be unsure? That's a lie. It creates doubt. And when you have doubt, I have doubt. And this was it. It was that simple. And so I prayed about it, and then the next day I thought, we'll talk. It was a 5-hour car journey. Maybe we were just agitated. And in the morning we try to talk. And I was really open to the idea that my doubt creates doubt and uncertainty in others.
Mm-hmm.
And I was open to accepting that. But even that didn't seem enough. And then he just left and got a taxi to the airport instead of getting a lift with me. So that was on my mind. And then but I felt okay with it because I genuinely was acting from here, or at least made an effort to. And I prayed and I wish him well. So I don't know what's happened on an energy level, on an invisible level. Like maybe this is a good thing, but certainly in the past, I'd have got fucking really angry that a friend acted like this. Where now I'm just wondering, okay, maybe there's more to it. Maybe I've done something that he hasn't expressed, or maybe he's just has his own stuff going on, or maybe it's a good thing and it just hasn't unfolded yet. That's where I'm at. So it's kind of a good place, but it seems like a bad place.
Like why does it seem like a bad place? Does it feel bad, or why does it seem bad?
Well, it did for a bit because a friend was so upset.
Yeah.
And I was going through all of the stories, all of the things that happened.
Mm-hmm.
But one has to have the ability to believe in the words that the person in front of us speak. So if they say that's all it is, I give them the benefit of the doubt that that's all it is. And if that's all it is, that's okay. Yeah, I have doubt, but it's not personal. My doubt isn't an attack on someone else.
Yeah.
Ultimately, to have no doubt would be to be certain. To be certain of everything is beautiful. That's a God mind. That's the state of perfection. To know everything, full knowledge, full everything. There's no possibility of doubt. Where I am, doubt does not exist. But I am that. But also, I'm playing this part of a human that has only 10 fingers. How can I have no doubt when I only have 10 fingers?
Yeah, but not in circumstances. Like in circumstances, even when we're in touch with the divinity within us, actually, we're not really certain of anything. It's like more, is it not that more and more you recognize that you don't know and you're not certain of anything at all? Like if you ask yourself now, because you are that divinity. So if you ask yourself now, like, what are you certain of? Like, what can you be certain of?
In this reality, I suppose one can be certain of an end, but can you really? How can you be certain of dying even? Because you don't know that to be true. You don't know anything.
Yeah, see, that's very good. It's like, so even to be certain, it's like you're going to an idea, and that you have to hold on to that idea to be certain. But yeah, that idea could change. Like let's say if everything changed tomorrow and the world was totally different or something, like we're going to an idea of what we know, like we're going to an idea of, okay, I've seen bodies existing and then they cease to exist. And that seems to have happened to all the people who came before. But even that, you're still taking yourself to be a body. Like you're not certain that you're going to come to an end. We could be relatively kind of certain, like it seems likely that the body's not going to stay forever, but you can't really be certain about that. Because maybe in your experience, the body will continue. Like maybe in this world, this is just speculating. Now, I don't really like to talk in a speculating way, but like in your direct experience, it could be that you continue to experience that same body, even though this world will see your body dying. So if we really look into it, we can't even really be certain about that. But it's not really about that, is it? Like really, like more when you're talking about having an argument with your friend, it's more like what's left. Like, is it okay they just had an argument, or when you keep going over and over things in your head, it's like there's something trying to work it out, but can you actually work it out? Like, is that even possible? Like, can we actually know what really happened?
Yeah, I mean, no, not really. I mean, from my side, can I hold on to it? Can I let go of anything? Yeah, I'm certain that I can do that. I can let it go. I mean, when I say I'm certain, I have a history of being able to let stuff go and not hold on to it.
Yeah.
Sometimes with practice, sometimes with the practice of A Course in Miracles, that really helped.
Mm-hmm.
And Vipassana, that really helped. And then just knowing me, I don't really remember all these things. I usually just find a place where I just go, oh, that's not within me anymore. I've moved on to the
Yeah.
next. Yeah, it would be too hard. I think life would be too hard for me if I was to hold on to all of these grudges. I just wouldn't really enjoy life if I did that. So I don't. I suppose the difference between being, I would prefer a different outcome. I'd prefer us to be hugging and understanding and laughing rather than agitated. But also, I don't really know what's going on for him or why it happened or any of it. There's a billion details. I could be reminding him of his father or something, or maybe it was just because he had an all-nighter the day before and was extremely hungover. I don't know any of it. I actually don't. But I came to it from a place of reason, like as in, well, the behavior here isn't reasonable.
Mm-hmm.
But reason doesn't always.
I think it's kind of a natural kind of human thing to try to work things out with our mind. I was saying the exact same thing to someone earlier, or listening to myself saying it or something, because I was editing a different podcast. But it's natural to try to work things out with our mind and through reason. And I think it works a little bit, but we can't really know everything that's going on. So it takes a long time, and also it's very stressful to try to work things out. And even whatever conclusion we come to isn't necessarily the right conclusion. We might come to some kind of conclusion, but I don't know, something that makes us feel happy or peaceful or content, but it's still based on a story that we've come to through reasoning that's totally kind of made up, really. And most people are kind of happy with that. But I don't know why I said that, but what's coming to me when you're talking is, like, what do you do with all the feelings that come up within a story?
Aha. So there's two things. So during the story, like I'll use reason, I'll use understanding and compassion. But ultimately, for me to find peace in myself is to remind myself who I truly am. And it's to come back to that place of, well, kind of how we started here, just breathing and being still and letting go of all stories. And in that place, I experience peace.
And then what happens when you remember the argument then?
I don't remember the details in that place. So it doesn't exist really.
The reason why I ask that is because I feel like sometimes people like separate spirituality, it's like, and there's something in me, I think, that wants to bring them together. Something can be like, oh yeah, when I look to the truth of who I am, or when I'm sitting deep in meditation, everything is really peaceful and quiet and lovely. And that's good. And like, I would totally encourage that. But then when I move in the world, and when I have an argument with someone, or when this challenge comes or that challenge comes, then I'm not peaceful anymore. So I'm kind of interested in how they can come together. Like, how can we bring our self-recognition into the midst of everything?
Yeah, well,
and maybe that is enough, like what you say, to just bring your attention to the truth of who you are is enough, and forget about everything. For some people that's enough, but for some people it's not.
There's no attachment in this place. So if I go to this place, if I have my argument, I'm like, I'm your friend, you're my friend, why are you fighting? I drove 5 hours for you and you're arguing with me, you owe me this and I owe you that, and this is, this shouldn't be happening, all of that, right? But let's just say we find a place where it's okay or not okay. But either way, when I go back to the place of peace, I'm less attached to our friendship existing. I'm less attached to us having a fight or being right or wrong. I'm less attached to it all because there's already peace here within me. Now, that doesn't mean I'm going to, it just means that I'm in a place where I can be, I suppose, like if you're a parent, if you get a child running around and they're annoying you, right, you might react, right?
Mm-hmm.
But ultimately, they're a child and you're a parent and you love them and you're going to do what you can for them. But if
Mm-hmm.
you're in a really peaceful place and you see them just being bold or whatever,
Mm-hmm.
you can deal with it in a much better way. You can treat them with love without reacting to their overwhelming tendency to be irritating. So I'm trying to say that I use that as a place to be able to act better in the world. So I still have both. I still have the stories that are in it. But when it gets too much, I'm like, well, why am I getting it? I do the thing. Then I come back and I go, okay, I can handle it better. It's still there. It's just not, I'm not spiraling out of control and hating anyone. I'm just going, oh, this is what it is. This is what it is. I'm going to go have a piece of chocolate now.
Yeah. I kind of feel like all of those stories that appear in our lives, they're not for nothing. Like I like the way Muji says, he says that like nothing is wasted. Nothing that appears in consciousness is waste. Like it's not just appearing for nothing. Somehow the words that are coming is like there's kind of like a deeper learning available to us. Or like, because I don't think self-recognition, recognizing the truth of who you are is the end of everything. Or it's not just like I think it's good, but I think it's much like we can use life in a much more rich way than that, but like it's like the foundation, like you actually need it for everything. This is how I don't know exactly what I'm saying. I'm like hearing myself saying it as I'm saying it.
You mean you're
But
not certain? You mean you have doubt? I'm so angry you have doubt.
no, it's not doubt. That's not what I'm saying. But it's like the example that you gave was really good because I do experience that. So I'm a parent and my child could be totally triggering me. Like I feel totally triggered with like anger or something. So the opportunity there for me, or the way I like to look at it, it's not to only to recognize the truth of who I am in that moment, because I'm always recognizing the truth of who I am. Because once you recognize the truth of who you are, that's in your heart. You can't really forget it. At least when you've looked like 1,000 times. But, so I feel like I've looked 1,000 times and it's always the same. So that's not in question. The self-recognition is not in question. But it's when like anger arises. It's like, how am I going to deal with that? Am I going to go rah, like that? And sometimes that does happen. So it can be, if it does happen, am I able to forgive myself and be okay with that is one thing. But another thing would be to, I kind of feel like the stories that appear are appearing to show me what's still in me in a way, or with my kind of conditioned part of me, you could say. And the deeper learning is to, well, you see, you can't really say exactly what it is for everyone because it's different. But for me, it's really to allow myself to deeply feel everything. So let's say if I feel really angry, like if Eshan is doing something, and like he definitely does trigger me. He's like the best person at triggering me. um, so the opportunity for me is to really let myself feel it. And not just that, because there could be, when I let myself feel it, there could be some kind of lessons or something in there, but it's not always to just jump to, because the truth of who I am is here anyway, and that's what I'm looking at it with. I'm looking from there. I'm not an angry person. So I'm recognizing that I'm not an angry person, but there's just the energy of anger is arising within me. So I'm looking from self-recognition, but that doesn't obliterate the anger. But there is still something I feel like in consciousness that wants to bring that anger. Like it's like the anger itself wants to get liberated because, and that's the true kind of spirituality. Self-recognition is only a foundation. it sounds like I'm like belittling it or something. People put it on like a really high thing, and it is a really high thing in a way, but it's really a foundation for living, like true living as and in God, you could say. So how are you going to use that when like anger comes up, or I don't know what else? I think anger is a good one because we usually don't want to feel that. Or we don't want to, it's not just that we don't want to feel it, we don't want to um act from it. And I think that's still kind of normal and usual. And like, so for me, like if anger comes up, I don't want to be angry at it. He's my child. I don't want to condition him in the same way I was conditioned. But yeah, I still see it happening sometimes. So it's more like I'm recognizing that, I'm seeing it from there, and then kind of learning about it, learning about what it is and where it comes from. And I suppose this is what it really is that you actually learn about yourself as a human when you're connected to your true self. So you can really see the types of things that trigger you because you kind of slow down with everything. Like it might not exactly be the question from the mind, but you just kind of see like why you're getting angry, like what it is that triggered you. And when you're really slowing down and looking from the truth of who you are, looking to the anger, you get to see, okay, and somehow understand and have insights. Okay, I'm really angry because it's actually nothing to do with this person in front of me. It's really to do with because maybe often it's to do with your parents or something, could be something else, but it could be like at least for me, I see it's often connected to my mother.
I have an example
Mhm.
that just happened to me like maybe 3 days ago or something.
Mhm.
My mother sent me an email, and I checked the email, and she said like a comedy club had set up across the road from my comedy club. And
Mhm.
we're running a comedy club for a while. I put a few years into it, and this guy, a peer of mine, set up just across the road.
Okay.
And
Mhm.
I went into a rage. I was like in The Godfather. I'm gonna fucking ruin his club. I'm gonna crush him. He'll never fucking work. And I was just like, I was.
Mhm.
And then I sort of came out of that, and I calmed down, and I was looking at myself, going, how can I possibly get so angry about something so small? Of course, he's allowed
Mhm.
to do comedy wherever he wants. I don't
Mhm.
own anything, and I was justifying it and so on. But I was really looking at how I could get extremely angry so quickly over something perceivably so small. And I started thinking it was a territory thing. And I went back into my grandparents, and they had my grandmother, or my great grandmother, who I never met, but they
Mhm.
had their farm. They had land, and it was taken from them, and they ended up quite poor because of it. And then on my father's side, my granddad, was tricked out of, well, whatever. I don't need to go into the details, but land was
Mhm.
taken there as well. So
Mhm.
on both sides of my family, land has, been taken, they've been tricked or deceived or
Mhm.
manipulated out of their wealth, their land. So I just thought, even though it's a small thing, it's like it was had this territory thing within me in my DNA going, no, you have to protect it. You have to protect it.
Mhm.
So I don't know if getting angry and a rage protects it, but
And
I certainly became very aware of my flaring nature.
and did seeing like that, like and having that kind of insight help you to not be so angry or not?
I mean, I didn't act from the place of anger. I calmed down. I thought about it,
Mhm.
but ultimately I did do actions, but not like as an attacking way, as in like
Mhm.
stuff I was doing anyway, but I just did it a bit faster. So it
Mhm.
kind of lit a fire under me to make the right actions to
Yeah.
protect what I've already built, to protect my
Yeah.
property, my investment, my energy.
Mhm.
Yeah. So maybe it was all right, but it was full. I mean, it's full on like to react like that for, yeah. So it just means that if it happened again, would I be angry as quickly? Maybe, maybe not,
Mhm.
maybe a bit, but I'd still like,
Mhm. 'Cause I don't think we have to judge ourselves about feeling angry or feeling anything human. It's more just like that we get more and more insights. And the more insights you have about yourself and understanding and compassion for yourself through all of those things, the more you'll be able to understand and have compassion for other people as well. And I actually feel like really just becoming aware of yourself, like your responses and all, in a conscious way, which really means seeing it from your true place, really, because that true place doesn't have a reaction. So when you're seeing from there, so even if you're seeing the reaction and you're seeing that even the reaction is just a sensation or something arising within you. Because somehow when you're seeing from your true place, you naturally start to let go of the stories as well. Even if you see the stories there, you're not like your true self can't hold on to stories because it's not the mind. All the stories are of the mind, and you are beyond the mind. So when you're looking from there, I feel like that's enough to kind of for all of that to take care of itself. And somehow when you're not in it, it's almost like when you're totally engaged with the story and with the reactions and the actions, it's almost like you're in this kind of thing like a knot or something. But when you come back, it's almost like it allows that knot to unravel by itself. You don't really have to do anything, and yeah, because that life is kind of intelligent and it doesn't really, I don't think life is malicious or something. I think life actually wants the best for all of us. So it doesn't want us to be going around creating fights with everybody and being angry and suffering. So that's how somehow to just be aware of the things that cause unpeace in us is actually enough. I'm kind of pretty, I don't know, adamant about that so far. In 5 years' time, I might change my point of view. But like I'm adamant about it, if you could say that, is because that's what I see in myself. So I think that's what if you're ever talking about, we can only speak from our own experience, isn't it? Or what we know and what we see. Like I can't start talking about things I don't know anything about because it wouldn't make any sense.
Well, you can, but like,
Well,
this wouldn't make any sense.
yeah,
There's plenty of people talking about stuff they don't know about. There's plenty of people listening to them.
yeah, I suppose that's true. You said that when you come back to your true self, everything is fine. Everything is fine about your friend and everything that happened to your friend. So you are your true self now. So is everything fine?
Yeah, that's as it's meant to be. It is what it is. It's like this is all that's happened, and I have no attachment to an outcome anymore.
Yeah.
Certainly, much less.
Yeah. I kind of see these things as an invitation as well. It's like an invitation to ourselves. Like, so whatever it brings up in you, like whatever feelings that come up, it's an invitation for you to feel them. And they're probably familiar feelings.
I mean, I'll probably be more aware now when I express doubt. I might be like, oh wait, do I know? Do I not know?
Mm.
And then be less doubtful where that's
Yeah, but you
possible.
can't really take responsibility for other people's reactions either. Like I think it was great that it is great, and I feel to listen to what people say and to actually question is if it's true. Like if someone comes to you and says, you're being so annoying or something, it's good to be like, oh, okay, I'm so annoying. And like how, and they tell you how you're being so annoying and you look and question. Like it's good to really be open. And it sounds like you were really open, like to whatever he was saying. But also, we have to all each take responsibility for our own things as well. So it could be that there is something true in what he's saying. But yeah, it can also be that like he's not taking responsibility for his own, like whatever got triggered in him. So you don't have to take on his stuff, I suppose, is what I'm saying.
Yeah, I don't. That's true. But also, if I am being doubtful, if I'm expressing doubt, and it does have an effect on other people around me. And there's the possibility I can see that I can maybe I'll be more capable of seeing, okay, I'm being doubtful, I'm being uncertain again. But I don't like it when people are humming and hawing and using too many words and taking a breath when they're speaking. Because I'm like, just fucking say what you need to say and finish it. So now that's my stuff. I know that. I'm aware of that. But maybe there's other people that react that way to me, and if I'm able to minimize it or at least become aware of it, I'm willing to look at that. So maybe it'll help, maybe it won't. I don't know.
Yeah.
I mean, it would be nice to always be certain and to speak without or and just say exactly what is true.
Yeah.
We'd be like gurus. The truth is, everything is exactly as it should be.
I've never heard about anyone who's certain about anything in this world.
Well, are you sure about that?
I've never heard about anyone.
Really?
I've never met anyone who's certain about anything in this world. The most, you could say, wise people I know are the most inspirational people that I know, that I've heard of, and the ones that I've met are very much admitting that they don't know anything about this world. And I think when I say admitting, it's because that's what you actually, it's like admitting to it, really. Like, it's like, that's what you actually say, that actually I don't know anything. How can I know? And for me, at least, it feels like such a relief when I admit that I don't know. It's actually really peaceful. Like I actually don't have to know. And I don't know. It's not that you can't know some things, like maybe you know where your house is, simple things like that. If you're in Dalkey and you're going along, you can be pretty sure that you live on this road. But that's not, maybe even that, like if you really question it, you can't be really sure. But those things, it's not really those things that are important anyway.
No, thankfully not.
But anything that's kind of meaningful, if you ask yourself, like, do I really know this? Like, what do I really know? Like, it's quite a good question to sit with and see if you can find anything inside yourself that you really know, and be really honest with yourself. In general, like, is there anything that you know? I think in a way you can be certain of yourself, but not in a mind way. So the thing is, when you're really certain of yourself, and by that I mean you're really certain that you're not the body. You're really certain that you're not the body mind, but when you're in that certainty, you're not certain, because it's only the mind that wants to be certain, certain or uncertain. So when you're just in yourself, it's like beyond being certain, even. But if you have to use a word, you could say that there's a certainty, because there's no doubt in yourself. So that's what certain is, isn't it? There's no doubt. And there actually can't be any doubt in yourself. It's impossible for doubt to be in yourself. Doubt exists only in the mind.
Where I am, doubt cannot exist.
Oh yeah, is that a Course in Miracles thing or something?
No, I don't think so. It just came to me in a dream recently.
Oh, okay. Well, yeah, it's a very nice way of wording.
Yeah, it was nice. It was like it was all of the dream stuff, and that came. I was like, oh yeah, that's what I need from this.
That's really nice. And it's a very nice kind of affirmation or reminder. Where I am, doubt does not exist. What is it?
Yeah, it does not, or cannot exist. Cannot exist.
Yeah. Like, those words are from yourself. Like, from the higher part of yourself, or
Like
they're pointing to the self, like those words are. See, when you hear words like that, you kind of, there's a different quality in them. And something in us, I feel like, knows that it's true. because even though sometimes some of us are in that game of like trying to discover the truth of who we are, really in our hearts, we all know. We all really know who we are. We all know. And actually, everyone, even people who are not into spirituality, even the way people talk, we know we're not our conditioned selves. We might not be able to say what we are, but like nobody can say what they are anyway. So like people know like that they're not their stories. That's why it's so pleasant to listen to people saying it. And because it's affirming what we already know. I know sometimes we get caught up in a story, or sometimes we'd like to believe where, we try to portray ourselves to the world a certain way or something, which is basically a story. So we can buy into that a little bit sometimes. But as soon as we want to be true or something, like, and you just get a little reminder that you're not that either. You're no idea. I think it's pretty easy to kind of admit to that. It's not kind of like complicated. There's nothing really complicated about it. See, peace is what you are already. But in a way, you kind of have to fight for your peace as well.
It's an oxymoron, isn't it?
Yeah.
Fight for peace.
Yeah. And in a way, fight for it. It's because we're so like habituated to just pick up ideas, about ourselves and like this kind of idea of who we are in the world. Like I'm this person, and like this person is this type of person, and I want this from life. This is what I want from life. That's what a question people often ask each other, isn't it? Maybe when you meet someone, you don't know them very well, you're just getting to know them. They might say, like, what do you want from life? As a way to get to know each other. That's like a question people ask each other.
What do you want from life?
Yeah, like what are you kind of like desiring, or what are you moving towards?
Yeah, something there, yeah.
Yeah.
What do you enjoy? What do you enjoy? What do you want to do?
Yeah.
Golf or eating food, or hiking, or
Yeah.
Whatever.
Mm.
Yeah. What's your buzz? Kind of better than what you do. What do you do? It's what do you enjoy doing? It's like a step in action. It's like, what do you do? What do you enjoy doing? Who are you really?
Yeah.
It's getting there.
Yeah, it's like we get tired of that. We get tired of that. Like, what do you do? What's your work? Because you realize, okay, I'm not my work. But then what do you enjoy? It's like it's closer to the heart. But still kind of
it's a step forward.
It's a step forward. But then what would you have to talk about if you met people at a party or something and you're like, so who are you beyond all stories?
I have a friend who's like, he just goes, stop, tell me, who are you? So he's brilliant. He's an actor and so on, and he's spiritual in his own way, but not spiritual. He's done so much work in acting. Anything that comes from a place of acting and not being real. Acting, he would say, is being real under imaginary circumstances.
Yeah.
So if he's interested in somebody, he'll stop, tell me. Behind everything, behind it all, who are you? And you're just left there going, what? That's great. I love it.
That sounds good. I like it.
Yeah.
I like that what you said, like being real under imaginary circumstances. Because that's what this world is, isn't it? Like this,
like that, yeah.
The circumstances are imaginary, even if we don't know that. But yeah, we're trying to kind of discover the reality within, like right in the midst of a dream. So it's really the same thing. So it's like, who are you here? So it's actually the exact same. That's what your friend says.
Yeah, I wonder, does he know that? Probably.
Mm.
Probably does. He's saying it, so on some level he must know.
Yeah. Sometimes I notice you can say a lot of things before you even know it or understand it. Like I heard all sorts of words coming out of my mouth like years ago, and I didn't really even understand it. what I was saying. At the time, you kind of feel like you do understand it, but then maybe a few years later, you realize, God, I was saying all those things. I didn't have a clue what I was talking about. And probably the same now. I probably say things now and then in a few years' time, I'll be like, wow, I didn't even really know what I was talking about, but now I do. Or now I think I do.
I remember once I was talking in London in Hyde Park. Just, people stand on a box, and I told myself I'm going to do that just for 10 minutes or something. And I stood up and I told a story, but then people started listening, because everybody goes there as the novelty to listen.
Yeah.
And people started coming, and I didn't really know what to say. I only had so much planned, and then I remember saying stuff like, allow these words fall upon your ears like gentle drops of peace, right? And I was like, I was listening to the words come myself, and I was like, this is crazy. Where is this coming from? It was like, if I could take I could take responsibility or credit for going there and standing on it and saying a little story, and everything else was just, I didn't write it, I didn't plan it. It was I just knew I would only say something what I believed was positive, or I was acting like Jesus.
Yeah.
But Christ was actually, going
Coming
through me.
through. Yeah.
And I was like, whoa, this is good. If you just you mean well and you speak and just don't get in the way.
The thing is, Christ is coming through everyone, even if they're speaking like wisdom words or not. I was thinking that the other day, like when we were at your gathering, there's so many, I don't know, like creative beings there. And then it's like, well, all of this creativity and all is actually God's creativity. So I was thinking, it doesn't belong to like each individual person. That's just like life expressing itself through, you could say, different bodies.
Oh, creativity. That is in Israeli, I think that means God, to create, to God, something like that.
Yeah. But it just kind of struck me because like I had the thought came, wow, you really know a lot of talented people. I was thinking, you know a lot of talented people. And then I was thinking, well, that talent is God's talent. It's like I had a thought and then the response thought was like that's actually God's talent. And all talent belongs to God. Because it was actually something that you said when you were talking about your friend and you were telling me about what a great comedian he is. And you were saying that it just kind of, he's very present and it just kind of flows out of him. So when you were saying that, I was thinking, well, it's like something that Muji says as well. When people are really good at something, it's really obvious that it's just life playing through them. Like he uses the example of Ronaldo playing football. Like people love to watch him playing football because he's so good at it. But really, he's just like, that's God. They're actually watching God. So usually when people are really good at something, they're empty of themselves. Yourself, if you've ever tried to see how you do something, you get really clumsy. Or if you start trying to think about how you're doing it. Like I did it before where I don't know if it was, I actually can't really remember properly, but so now it's just imagination. But like especially if you're trying to teach a child how to do something. Okay, like how do you hit a ball with a bat? You hold it like this and you look down and then you're like, if you're actually trying to give instructions, like what do you actually do? It's really hard and you get really bad at it. But when you just kind of let go and you're just like, you just know that you're going to do it, then it just kind of happens much easier. It's not like a great example. I'm not very good at examples. But I have seen that a few times.
I do know what you mean. Yeah, it's very clear in martial arts when people are fighting, that it doesn't matter whether it's boxing or kicking or anything, but that the closeness, because it's full on, it's hit or be hit. But the movement, it's like all of a sudden, like in the Matrix or Bruce Lee, I know they're moving and stuff, but ultimately that's it's just so present. Now there's no doubt. There's no doubt there. There's no time for the mind to get in the way of this, because anytime you stop and think, if I don't do that, I might bang. It's over, right? There's no time for the mind in that, or if there is, you're on the ground.
Yeah. So you're just totally empty of mind.
And I imagine it's the same for Formula One drivers or that, because of the intensity or any intense things like that. Yeah. Wow. Oh, maybe that's why they love the sport so much. It's the connection to God.
Yeah.
That's probably it.
They get to experience that in those moments.
Mm.
And we all experience it in many moments. Everyone does. You know, sometimes for some people it might be just, well, often it's doing something you love, you know, whatever that might be. Or it could be just like spending time in nature. Or it could be just like sitting down and having a cup of tea. It's like anything where you really are just really present. You're just really present and empty. And that's all that any spiritual teaching is pointing to, really, is to really to get us out of our minds, because that's the only thing that's causing trouble. That's the only thing that's causing us like seeming suffering. You know, it's when we start trying to think about things and work things out and make things be a certain way, or, you know, all this kind of type of thing. So when you said earlier, you said like you're letting go of any type of outcome. Like that's a real God mind. That's a God way of looking at things. Like to be free of outcome, because that means you're not trying to control it. And that's like, it's a certain aspect of the mind that tries to do that. And that aspect of the mind is really a very suffering thing and very stressful and brings a lot of anxiety. And it's not even that has to go or disappear completely from our being, but more just that we recognize it. And any time that it comes up, we recognize that it's actually not something that's serving us. So then it's like, okay, that doesn't serve me, so I'm not going to continue with that. And then it's like back to that, okay, back to your God. You could call it even God mind.
My God mind.
Yeah. Because your God mind is one with you mind, like your true mind or your higher mind is like one with God's mind.
Do we want a mind? Is it good to have a mind? It's a useful tool. So.
I think it's good. I think the mind gets a bad rap.
I suppose it depends what you feed it with.
Yeah. I like what Moji says, you know, that mind is a good servant, but it's a bad master.
That's nice, yeah.
I think that's a perfect way of putting it. And I'm starting to understand it more, because I see that mind does and can serve, you know, because all of these words that we're talking is mind. And even what you said, that was very beautiful. You know, there's no I am. What did you say?
Where doubt is, I cannot be, I cannot exist. I am where doubt cannot be. Oh, God.
I can't remember what way you said it, but yeah, the essence of it, like, is where I am, doubt does not exist. Was that it?
Where I am, doubt cannot exist. Yeah.
Yeah. So that's the mind, but that's a serving mind. Like, because that's serving your higher good, it's bringing your attention back to what's true. You know, so mind can serve like that. And also mind can serve in a way, like if I ask myself, how can I be more loving to this person? Or how can I not as quickly react or not be triggered? Or how can I not act on my triggers? You know, these kind of questions that are pushing us to grow, or pushing us to maybe just pushing us into our heart more. That's like that's serving us. And I don't know, there's probably loads of examples, but everything can't come all at once. But like, I do see that the mind does serve, and it's not all bad. It's only bad if it's like, again, I like the way Moody says, it's not the mind that we're trying to get rid of, it's the psychological mind. You know, like that mind that is kind of judging and evaluating and uh, discriminating, all this kind of thing that the mind can do.
Causing guilt and
Yeah. But the mind can write a beautiful poem. Or the mind can, you know, plan a group meditation or something, bring people together. I don't know, all these things. It's like the mind isn't all bad. I like to use the word mind also. Like, I think mind and consciousness are one, really. Like it's just another word. They're interchangeable words.
It's just another
Like
word.
everything is mind. This whole world is basically mind. So some people say this whole world is consciousness, and some people say this whole world is mind. And that's really the same thing.
Oh my god, that's confusing.
Yeah, that's the kind of mind that's not helpful. The part that gets confused. But yeah, it could be confusing.
Yeah, I don't know very much. Maybe I should be kinder to myself for having doubt.
Yeah,
Since I don't. It's not really up to me to know anything. I'm just
yeah,
here.
yeah. And who has doubt anyway?
Who has doubt? The mind.
Yeah. And are you the mind?
Are you the mind? No, thankfully, because I'm way less doubtful than the mind.
I'm only reminding it of your own words that were
Yeah.
very true.
That's good. It's good and confusing and mind opening and mind and consciousness being the same thing. I never heard that before.
The same in the sense that they're just words, because you can look at everything. People say everything is consciousness, because really you notice that your being is conscious and everything is emanating from there. This is getting too complicated for you. It's okay. Because that's it. You don't have to understand it. They're just words. The whole point of words is so you actually let go of words. So you're already in a let go state. So there's no need to go back into words. But the thing is, everything is an idea. This whole world is an idea. Therefore, like an idea is a thought, and thought and mind are the same thing. And this might be a bit much. This might be a bit much, but consciousness is also an idea.
Yeah, okay. For both ideas. Never for their own thought.
Like somehow in this world, we're talking, so we have to admit that we exist, so therefore consciousness is here. But I think now this is a bit mad, like the mind can't really comprehend this, but I think our heart can. That when we're recognizing who we are, we also are recognizing that all these seeming words that we're speaking and everything that we're seemingly experiencing isn't actually even really here. And we're able to kind of see that and have direct communion in that. So somehow our heart is able to understand that, but only through completely letting go of the mind and not trying to understand anything. That's the only way you can actually understand it. I know them words sound like totally, it's like a riddle, but it's really not a riddle at all. Even that sounds like a riddle.
I know.
I know, it's like a joke. So the moral of the conversation, I hope, was don't know anything. Don't try to understand anything. And as you truly are, you have no doubt about anything.
Oh, that feels nice.
That sums it up.
Say it again. Say it one last time.
You'll have to say it.
I have no doubt. I don't know anything. And I don't have to understand anything because I don't know anything.
I think that's such a peaceful thought, isn't it? Like, I don't have to understand anything. Because we're always trying to work things out. We're always trying to work things out with our mind. Even to imagine trying to work something out feels stressful.
I know, doesn't it? To understand, to work.
Yeah.
Like, it's like, oh God, do I have to?
And actually, our heart understands without trying.
Yeah. Like you can intellectualize a mathematical equation, but ultimately, if I throw a ball towards you, you'll get out of the way or you'll catch it, which means that your mind was able to calculate the speed it went and move your hand to just the right thing, which is an equation that you could spend like weeks trying to understand in your mind, which you already knew it.
Yeah.
I know.
Exactly. You put that very well.
Yeah, I probably got it from someone else somewhere along the line.
Yeah, we all do.
Passed it on. Passed it on. I just caught it. Passed it on.
Thank you for meeting with me.
Thank
I know
you.
it's been a busy day for you and all that.
Well, I'm very glad I met anyway. What was it, a day? Our talk reminded me that none of that stuff really matters anyway.
Right, that's good.
Just what I needed.
Good.